everybody. Welcome to the Construction Worker Podcast. I'm digital media editor Warren Frey, and with me today I have
Marty Beard, the co-founder and CEO of alwaysAI.
And we'll talk about alwaysA in a second, but let's start with your background. You have a pretty deep and quite Canadian background in technology, so maybe we could speak to that.
Yeah. I've spent many years in Silicon Valley in the enterprise software space, in the mobility space. The connection to Canada is I was fortunate enough to work with Blackberry as chief operating officer for a few years under John Chen. So that was all about the transition away from hardware and into cybersecurity software and so forth. So it was a great experience. Spent a lot of time in Waterloo.
And so what? Now you're doing alwaysA. Maybe we should explain first what alwaysA is.
Yeah, we're a computer vision software company, so really an AI company. But at the end of the day, what we do is we just help construction companies and industrial companies and retailers improve their operations by making cameras do some really smart things and providing real-time data that allows people to make better decisions and save some money and drive some new revenue.
And we'll get to the construction part of this in a second, but I just want, since I have a technology person who knows what they're talking about and I don't on the line, I want to ask, why is it that sort of the vision side seems to have advanced before the chat side? You'd think it'd be the other way around, but explain to me why that isn't the case, or maybe it is, and they just kind of rolled out differently.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you've got AI, right? Let's just call that the blanket term. And underneath that, you had certain segments that took off faster. So you had robotics and so forth. Computer vision's been around for a long time, but something called deep learning really helped it take off. And all that means is you can get more powerful algorithms out onto cameras, so they can do really smart things. They can identify objects and do things in real time. So that really took off. Obviously, in the press now, everybody's focused on these so-called large language models or chat models and so forth. But both have been around for a long time.
And so let's get into that. What can you do in a practical sense with this sort of visual analysis via AI?
Yeah, you can leverage your existing cameras. So this doesn't require any new. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of expensive cameras. And what computer vision does is it allows you to really look at the real world. So and get information in real time, right? So you can act on it. Tons of examples. So examples would be, okay, I want to know how many people and how many vehicles are coming onto my site in real time, right? I want to be able to identify that so I can almost kind of visually audit it or track it over time. I want to know if my workers are wearing the right PPE, right? Are people wearing what they should be wearing? That's a simple example. Or another one would be, what areas of the job site are they in? Certain areas, people are not supposed to be in, it's too dangerous or what have you. So there's just a wide variety of information that you can get from your existing cameras using these new software techniques.
And without maybe there's stuff that's proprietary, but who are you working with? I guess is what I'm asking. Or where has this been applied and where can it be applied?
So this, you guys are focused on construction, and I'll get to that. Yeah. But we're working with retailers that really want to understand everything about their customers and who's coming into their retail or into the mall or into the Burger King or the Starbucks or what have you. And you want to get all that kinds of information, as well as behind the counter. Are we making burgers or sandwiches or what have you, or coffee as quickly and as accurately as possible? In construction, we're working with large general contractors today and doing everything about what I mentioned earlier. So we're doing things like identifying gate activity, who's coming into the gate, going out of the gate, et cetera, safety applications. We're working with one GC that basically has what they call a safety index. So they have a number that they're shooting for, and that number represents, are we safe, right? And they have obviously different ways of calculating for their unique situation, but it involves, is everybody wearing PPE? Are people in the right areas, et cetera? Let's say that they always want to be at 90 out of 100. And if it drops down to 70, they want a text message to fire off to the job site manager to let them know, hey, you got to take care of some stuff. So that's an example. We also do, for another large general contractor has a manufacturing part of their business, which is in this case lumber manufacturing. So same thing, we're identifying what's going on in that facility. Is it safe? Is the process as optimized as it can be, et cetera? We're working with a Canadian mine. Mm-hmm. So we're actually up in Canada working on it's a very, very large kind of like nickel and cobalt mine. And I can go through all the details. But so there's lots of different examples of data that at the end of the day, it's how do I improve my operations, right? I'm a construction manager. I've got 2 to 5% margins that I'm making. Can I get 6%? Can cameras help me get 7%? And the answer is yes, right?
And just in terms of, because technology goes from highly expensive, like a mainframe in a room to a phone in my pocket. Is there a way that this could be scaled to say like an individual contractor who scans a house and checks out what the safety problems are there before they work on it?
Oh yeah. I mean, cameras now, like all, tech always, hardware costs come down in general, and the power of what you can do on the hardware goes up. That's just a general theme, right? So you got cameras now that, let's call it $70, something like that. In the world of AI, you need to put the model, the algorithm, the thing that's doing what you asked it to do on something, right? And so that's a so-called edge device. It just means that out on the job site, for example, the house, the commercial construction site, you've got a edge device that's able to run these algorithms. That can be anywhere. Call that like $300, something like that. That's the hardware cost. Right. And so the magic is happening in the software, right? As usual. If you just think of your smartphone or what have you, that's the magic's in the software.
And conversely, what if, just to go to the extreme other end, let's say you're a contractor and you're hired to go repair something in Ukraine while the war's still going on. How would you be able to apply the multiple factors to that? I'm sure AI is a little more adaptable to that than, say, people are.
Yeah, I mean, well, right. So what computer vision specifically is doing is it's just think about it. It's like, what's the most powerful human sense? You could argue eyesight. And then what are the applications of computer vision? Well, everything you can see. So in your example, somebody could be taking, for example, a smartphone or a simple camera, they're recording something, and you take that video information and you feed it into the AI model. So let's say your model, you want to identify trucks, and you want to identify trucks with a certain emblem on them. I'm just making a simple example.
No, that's a good example. Good idea.
That's what you've asked it to do. Look for trucks, look for this emblem. If you see a different kind of truck or a different kind of emblem, then I need to take some kind of action. And so you're just taking video clips, you're feeding it through that model. The model's giving you the information that you need. Key thing here is in real time. You're not waiting a week to look at the video. You're getting it now, and you're acting on it, right? So that's a great example you gave, actually, and we're actually doing work like that. So,
it's admittedly a pretty extreme one, but yeah. So what are some things that the technology can't do yet, but is on the cusp of doing, or that you're integrating other AI, like say robotics or drones or other stuff like that with this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, things that, there's always, Silicon Valley likes to say that the tech can do everything. It can't, right? Yeah. So, and, people always say, well, it's only limited by the amount of processing power or the size of the data set, et cetera. Okay, true. But, when you get into tough situations, like let's call, body movement, I'm trying to track activity level through body movement, right? So I'm really tracking an individual's body and movement and so forth. That's pretty difficult. You can do it, right? But that's pretty difficult. Another example that people might relate to is, okay, I'm tracking personal protective equipment, right? PPE, but people are wearing goggles that are clear. So the camera might get confused, right? Or it may not pick up on that as well as it could. So that's a difficult situation. How do you do that? Well, I need a side view of somebody's face. Okay. So now I need to look at their face, not only from the front, but from the side. So when you get out in the real world, you get different lighting conditions and you get all kinds of things that you have to take care of. And you can do it, but in some cases it's a lot harder than in other cases. Privacy, obviously is a big issue. And, you've got labor unions that quite rightly are saying, hey, I don't want, individuals being identified.
Mhm.
So you have to apply blurring and you have to apply, certain privacy techniques. Okay, fine. So that actually is pretty easy to do, but it's like another example of the real world and what you got to deal with.
Okay, and I would assume sometimes somebody's on a work site, then in some ways, certainly for safety, they've consented to be monitored for that particular reason.
Yeah, that's right. Or it's possible that the insurance company actually requires that, right?
Mhm.
So it's like you have to comply with that. Yeah.
Okay, and if people are interested in learning more about Always AI, where should they go to find out?
Just easiest thing is just to go to our alwaysAI.co, alwaysAI.co, and we have a good description of what we offer. You can learn about it, and then we're very accessible, so you can just request to speak to an AI expert on the team, and we'll get right back to you. No obligation or anything. Just literally, we love talking about this stuff and how we can help people.
Okay, thanks for joining us today.
Okay, thank you.